So, folks, there's this guy named Jeffrey Epstein, a disgraced financier. If you read the papers, if you don't read the papers, he's one of the most reviled child sex traffickers of our age, and he's awful and terrible. And also, if you read a lot of the coverage of what went on in that is public. You will also know this is a man who is prone to recording almost every aspect of his life. There are accounts of women who were allowed to see essentially like a control room where he had cameras placed throughout his house. There's a lot of gross stuff, going on in the Jeffrey Epstein story. However, one of those things is essentially he recorded all that information. The FBI now has all of that information. And the Trump administration is saying that it's all a hoax, or that they have hundreds of thousands of documents. Who to believe?
I have never personally met this Epstein guy, but I have heard from trusted sources that he's a great guy to hang with.
No! Knifeist Duck, thank you for the $5 dono. Yeah, on the one hand, one day, the Attorney General of the United States of America, one of the most powerful people in the country, says that she has all the files on her desk. The FBI was put on like 24-hour round-the-clock analysis duties for half a month back in March to pour through over 100,000 documents to compile a list of people who might be associated with this. People who did this work assumed that it was to make it public. And interestingly, according to some sources, they were deliberately and directly instructed to flag any mention of Donald Trump in those files. So that's interesting, to say the least. But, let's check in with the people, the on-the-ground reporters who really have a finger on the pulse of America and where we are with this Jeffrey Epstein stuff. I give you the Patrick Bet-David podcast.
Okay. Tell me who hates Trump the most. The last 10 years, since 2016. Can you?
Oh, what's that? It's the Patrick Bet-David crew and Sean Hannity, the president's current best friend.
Tell me who hates Trump the most.
That's a long list.
By the way, that's a long list.
No, but I want you to go who was close ally, who hates him the most.
You're going to play Nancy Pelosi.
No, I'm not going to play Nancy Pelosi.
That's a good clip on Pelosi.
I'm not going to play Pelosi. You're not going to be able to.
Financier? How's he doing? Wait, he died? How is Maxwell taking it?
That's a bit, right? Like a comedian did that bit. It's not Bill Burr. Was it Norm Macdonald? Did Norm Macdonald do that bit? Oh no, Conan O'Brien. Oh, God damn it.
Guess
his
what
old
I'm gonna
fixer,
play?
Michael Cohen.
Okay, Rob, play this clip. Watch this here. Okay.
What can you speak about your time with Donald Trump as it relates to Jeffrey Epstein, if at all?
So actually, I fell into Trump's orbit around 2005, but I became part of the Trump organization as the executive vice president and special counsel in 2007.
That's really fun timing there, because a lot of sources put the peak of the Epstein-Trump friendship from the mid 90s to 2006. So that's interesting.
From the time that I started to the time that I finished in 2018, I actually never heard him mention Jeffrey Epstein at all.
When you understand...
Little Anthony here. Everyone else has been giving out cement, but I gotta make sure the lady has money for a pizza break. Ain't I right?
Little Anthony, thank you for the $5 super chat. It will be used for pizza. Thank you. So Michael Cohen is a lawyer. In fact, he was Donald Trump's lawyer for many years. And I just have to throw out there that is maybe one of the most suspiciously lawyer-pilled answers to a question I have ever heard in my life. Listen to how he lays it out real quick.
At 18, the time that I was president around 2005, but I became part of the Trump organization as the executive vice president and special counsel in 2007.
So from 2007 to 2018.
I remember the last time I hung out with Jeffrey Epstein. He was so funny. He laughed, I laughed, the disabled cameras laughed. It was a great 3 minutes.
Paladin, thank you for the $5 dono. God damn, that was good. But Oh, I joined in 2007, and from 2007 to 2018.
From the time that I started to the time that I finished in 2018.
That is a very specific window of time, and it's real interesting that you don't talk about what you may have heard prior to your official time at the Trump Organization. That's a very specific answer.
I actually never heard him mention Jeffrey Epstein at all. I never saw Jeffrey Epstein in the office when I was one of the 10,000 hours in Trump's office doing work with him. I never heard Jeffrey Epstein on the phone or even call into the office. There was no relationship from the time that I started at the org to the time that I left.
And so how do you then, when you kind of look at what is transpiring now and the way he's handling it, what do you make of the way?
Also, why would Jeffrey Epstein call into the office? I'm sorry, let's just pause and think about this for a second. Why would Jeffrey Epstein call into the Trump offices? Why would he not just call Donald Trump directly? This is, again, very specifically worded. Yeah, like, it's oddly specific.
He's handling it. The reason why this scandal, if you will, this controversy, this individual has captivated so much attention and raised a lot of serious, legitimate questions.
Sure, because that's what they campaigned on. That's what he sold to his MAGA base. He was going to release the Epstein files. He was going to release the Martin Luther King files. He was going to release the John F. Kennedy files. He chose not to. It's a mistake. He should have just released the full file, because by not doing that, all it does is create these conspiracy theories. Oh, he must be guilty of something.
See, this is the part. Michael.
I also just want to throw out there that there's a non-0% possibility that the president's personal lawyer, or the guy who was connected enough to him to become his personal lawyer, would be someone who would also have an affinity for his client's predilections, let's say. All right, that's one of my possible reads on this. But let's see the true top tier talents here, the PBD boys, come down on this.
Cohen, Vinny, like, you tell me why Michael Cohen, who on any chance he's gotten to lie to destroy him, he's done it. That this probably, for him, as weird as it sounds, he has the most credibility on this topic the last 20 years to say what he. I know this sounds very weird.
Because he's been around him.
He has zero credibility.
But you know what I mean on credibility with this?
But I understand what you're saying. He would be the last person you would
He
expect.
would be the last person to defend.
Of course.
This is an easy slam dunk for you to say, well, you know, there was that one time I was sitting next door and he picked up a call and he made some jokes about underage and I felt very uncomfortable. Yeah. And I asked him, who were you talking to? Said, my boy, Jeffrey. And I had to walk it because that was the one thing that drew. Yeah. Even Bill Gates' wife said, Melinda, hey, what made me most uncomfortable with Bill Gates was who? Was a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. So you need to tell me this guy who hates Trump that much is going to defend him? It's a little weird.
But my question is...
Again, it's a little weird unless he's also implicated. Like, again, we know that this list cuts across both parties. It's not at all odd to me if the personal lawyer for Donald Trump was involved in this somehow. And honestly, it might not even be that Michael Cohen was involved in like the sexual abuse. It might be that Michael Cohen was involved in drafting up like ways to get around law regarding like Jeffrey Epstein's finances. It might actually be like he was involved in the material enrichment of Jeffrey Epstein via dubious means, right? Like there are a lot of different ways one can actually explain this and talk about this and formulate this in a way that makes sense. And I don't find it that insurmountable of a question.
Is this though, guys? So it's undeniable what he was doing. He was recording. It was a blackmail operation.
He being Epstein.
Yeah. When Alex Acosta, Sean said, you know, he worked...
Alex Acosta, the Secretary of Labor under Donald Trump,
for intelligence. Could have been Mossad, could have been ours, could have been a group of people. Our thing is, Pam Bondi, Bongino, Patel, that they were screaming from the rooftops. This is what, if I'm in, am I leading up to their assignments. Then once they're in, Sean, we feel like somebody told them, hey, shut up. Just like when he was arrested in Florida with that sweetheart deal you were talking about, Alex Acosta, whoever was in charge, You gave him a 12-hour. All he had to do was be there for 12 hours. So he slept at the prison. The door was open. He only had to sleep there one night. Who gives a convicted pedophile that type of access? But then when you go back, why is Epstein visiting the White House 17 times? And then Mark Middleton, Sean, who was his close aide and advisor, that guy signs him on 7 times. And then that guy suicides himself hanging from a tree with an extension cord, shotgun to the chest, no shotgun found. It's just all this stuff. All we want, Sean, as the supporters, and I get it. Trump's not on it.
I genuinely, like, I have no idea what Vinny is talking about. I have no idea what he's talking about. When Vinny talks, I just kind of like my eyes glaze over, and it's just angry noises. It's like the angry version of the teacher from Peanuts.
Put that aside. But the people that were on those tapes, Sean, those terabytes of information, we want the real MAGA. We want accountability for those pieces of those demons who destroyed these kids' lives, Sean. Who these kids, by the way, I say this too. I talked to Tom about this the other day. What do you think they did with some of these girls or underage boys that were with these high-profile guys that saw their faces? You think they just let them go back into society? No, they're gone forever. We've lost 300,000 kids at our border. Thank God Trump said that they found, 10,000?
Yeah, we're really going to trust the word of the guy who was Jeffrey Epstein's best friend when it comes to missing children? Are you nuts? Like, listen to yourself, man. Yeah, this guy that is highly implicated in these documents about child sex trafficking, yeah, I believe him when it comes to finding missing children.
What about the 290,000 that are gone? Gone, and nobody cares about them. So we have to keep talking about it. I don't think Trump's implicated, but come on. Well, I don't want to see any child porn, but you guys are seeing it.
This guy's not okay. The creatine is destroying his brain.
FBI, arrest those people. Arrest them. You see them. Why do you have cameras in every room? Whistleblower said every room, Sean.
God, he's so vascular. Look at him. Look at him. He's not okay.
You see that?
I'm like, look at his neck. Look at the veins bulging in his face. You're not okay, man. Take some like, I don't know, heart pills.
Why do you have cameras in every room? Whistleblower said every room, Sean. Everywhere you went, you were on camera. Who was he recording it for? And where's the footage?
I had one source tell me. Take it for what it's worth. I'm trying to piece this together as you are. That there were none of those tapes existed. Those tapes you just referred to. Now, as it relates to
I had, some rando told me that the tapes didn't exist, despite the fact that the FBI says they exist, despite the fact that Pam Bondi says they exist. Okay, like, if we accept that that's true, then we have to really ask the question, why are officials lying about it from the ground all the way up to the tippy top over something that doesn't exist? Like, come on, man. We're not dumb.
Costa in his comment about the intelligence community. What intelligence community? We need more details. So to me, I have more questions than answers. I want the answers like you do. I don't think there's anything more repugnant. Bible even says as much than to harm a child.
Matthew 8, chapter 8, verse 6.
Bingo. Wow, I'm impressed.
Yeah, I learned from this guy over here.
There's nothing more offensive to me, and I don't think anything more offensive to God if you believe in the Bible as I do.
Just throwing it out there, most people agree that sexually assaulting a child is bad. And I think most people can agree with that, even if the Bible doesn't say anything about it. Like, if the Bible didn't say anything about, like, harming children, like, sends you to hell or whatever, I think we would still all fundamentally agree it's bad to rape kids. I want to throw that out there, because these people genuinely are the kinds of people who also argue that, like, if you're an atheist, you have no moral compass.
And I want the answers to the questions. Now, I'm just maybe a little bit more willing to give it more time. I want more.
Now, I'm just more willing to believe that this guy, who has every reason in the world to try and hide his lifelong friendship with Jeffrey Epstein, I'm willing to give him a few more months, maybe a few years. Hell, maybe a decade. We'll give him a decade to get all this information sorted to us the right way.
Information. I want it all revealed. Now, let's see, for example, Pam Bondi's trying to get the grand jury testimony. Dershowitz, who's a friend of mine, and
Yeah, you know, this Dershowitz guy, he seems really trustworthy. He seems like a really trustworthy guy. Anyway, what's this from just a couple days ago? Alan Dershowitz also said the convicted sex trafficker should be granted immunity to speak about her relationship with Epstein, i.e., the Justice Department should grant Ghislaine Maxwell, again, the most prolific sex trafficker that we currently know of right now, who is alive, should be granted immunity so that she can talk about these things. That's nuts, dog.
Kinda sounds like this should be an easy vote if they all agree that hurting kids is bad, right? Right?
I mean, also, you know, I'm just throwing this out there. I'm just throwing this out there, okay? This is an article from 2018 about what is that? Alan Dershowitz, who's a friend of Sean Hannity's, apparently. Oh, that's so weird. From 2018, Alan Dershowitz says he's still advising Jeffrey Epstein. Wow, that's crazy. That's so bizarre. Are you kidding me? Like, dog. This is Axios. Alan Dershowitz still provides legal advice to serial pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, he confirmed to Axios. He's called me a couple of times about legal issues because I'm still technically his lawyer. Oh, God. It's nuts. You know, how do you advise a dead man? Well, he wasn't dead in 2018, at least at that time in 2018.
Man, he got caught up in this for a while. And he was so adamant he was going to sue everybody. He's like, and Dershowitz, his entire career has represented controversial figures like OJ. And in the case of Epstein, I also know David Schoen. He was friends with Epstein in the final years of his life. I interviewed him, asked what he knew about it. And I want the answers like everybody else does.
I want the answers like everyone else.
Nurse. Grandpa Sean got out of his room again and started podcasting again.
Oh, God. Hey, just real quick, here's a local news report from about 6 years ago about Alan Dershowitz.
I just wish to reiterate and to reaffirm the statements which have already been made on my behalf by Buckingham Palace.
Britain's Prince Andrew speaking out for the first time today to deny accusations that he had sex with an underage girl, allegedly being kept as a sex slave. That young woman also claims she was forced to have sex with high-profile defense attorney and Miami Beach resident Alan Dershowitz, who also denies those accusations. Local 10 News investigator Bob Norman spoke with Dershowitz today.
She's an admitted prostitute. She's a serial liar.
Attorney Alan Dershowitz today lashed out at his accuser, Virginia Roberts, who swore in a new affidavit that he had sex with her while she was an underage, quote, sex slave of wealthy Palm Beach financier Jeffrey Epstein.
She's lied.
But she wasn't lying about being sexually abused by Jeffrey Epstein as a minor, correct?
That is between her and Jeffrey Epstein.
Roberts, one of dozens of underage girls allegedly recruited by convicted sex offender Epstein.
She might have been a sex slave to him, but like still a prostitute, bro.
Also released new photos, including this one she says was taken by Epstein when she was about 15. In the new affidavit, she claims Dershowitz had sex with her 6 times at Epstein's residences, as well as on his jet and private island, and swore to seeming new details regarding alleged sex with Prince Andrew at Epstein's order when she was 17. The two are photographed here in London.
I can tell you she is still a prostitute. She is selling false stories now for money about me.
Do you have any concern calling her a prostitute when she was victimized at such a young age by this wealthy man?
She was not victimized. She made her own decisions in life.
And at the age of 15,
She wasn't victimized about a 15-year-old girl being sex trafficked. Understand, whenever anyone's like, yes, my close friend, Alan Dershowitz, I think back to this. I think back to this type of interviews, right? Like, this is not alone. This isn't like the only time Alan Dershowitz has done stuff like this. He's a freak. That's true. But understand, like, Sean Hannity comes on to defend Donald Trump, and he's like, oh, no. Alan Dershowitz, a close friend of mine. And they never talk about how all of these people are related. How Alan Dershowitz is Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer, dog. They never talk about the other connections that exist here. Hey guys, you want to know another crazy connection? Hey, do any of you guys know who this is? I'm just going to throw this up on screen. Any of you? Oh God, click the wrong button. Who knows who this is? Who is this man? Name him. Who is this man? This is your challenge round, everybody. Lutnick. That's right. This man is named Howard Lutnick. And guess what, everybody? He's currently, believe it or not, the Secretary of Commerce in the United States of America. That's wild. What if I told you he was Jeffrey Epstein's neighbor? Howard Lutnick's real estate ties to financier and child sex offender Jeffrey Epstein are once again drawing scrutiny, given the Commerce Secretary's apparent support for President Donald Trump's dismissal of what he described as the Epstein case. A 2019 investigation by Cranes found that Epstein, in addition to his infamous townhouse at 9 East 71st Street in Manhattan, also known as the Herbert N. Strauss House, had significant links to the adjacent property, which real estate records show is still owned by Lutnick. Crazy stuff. I don't know, it is kind of weird how all of these guys who ran in Jeffrey Epstein's orbit, who knew Jeffrey Epstein, who call like Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer their best friend, who talk about, being Jeffrey Epstein's best friend for 15 years, wonderful guy. Jeffrey loves his social life, writing little incommunicado messages to one another about, another wonderful secret. It just seems kind of weird that all these people know each other and have collectively agreed to not post any information about this treasure trove of information that has been obtained by authorities and could be used to out maybe one of the largest ring of pedophiles in history. And I mean, given that there was a lot of money involved in the sex trafficking and such, it's also not inconceivable that a lot of financial ties would be implicated by such information. So, very interesting stuff. Here, let's finish this clip about Alan Dershowitz.
Say that's a little young and that she was taken advantage of.
I'm talking about the age of 19. Look, that's between her and the federal government and the people that she claims victimized her.
Dershowitz is a longtime friend of Epstein's who represented him in the criminal underage sex case.
Could you please? I never saw a young underage woman.
She was 15 and forced into sex. There are multiple very demonetizable words for that, but I bet none of these clowns will use them.
Yep.
Yet Epstein's former butler swore under oath that Dershowitz was at Epstein's residences at the same time underage girls were there.
Were there young women in another part of the house giving massages when I wasn't around? I have no idea of that.
Dershowitz did say he once received a massage at Epstein's mansion, but from an adult woman.
I kept my underwear on during the massage. I don't like massages particularly.
Bob Norman, Local 10 News.
So there's an overwhelming amount of evidence that indicates that sex trafficking was going on at this private island, and you're trying to argue, oh, well, I kept my underwear on. And I don't know if you guys know this about underwear made for men oftentimes, but it has a hole in it, chat, for genitalia. So I don't know. I don't think that really lets him off the hook. And I think it's a very carefully selected wording in order to give the appearance of a certain degree of innocence. I will say, while all of this is horrible, right? The Epstein stuff has legs. It's now been in the news every day for 2 weeks. Over 2 weeks. It's been like 15 days. And one of the things that I find fascinating about this is that it's not going away. As much as like Donald Trump is like trying to throw out there like, oh, Obama, we're going to arrest Obama. Well, Hillary Clinton's emails. We're dropping the MLK files, even though his family doesn't want us to. Hey, look over there. I'm going to threaten to fire the head of the Fed. Haha. What if I talk about tariffs a little bit? Like, nothing has worked. Nothing has changed the fixation people have, especially his base have, with Jeffrey Epstein. And like, that's what makes this so interesting, right? Like, I'm not prone to conspiratorial thinking, right? But dude is trying to cover something up. I don't know what that is, but every single day that passes where he continues to like freak out about it, continues wild attempts at misdirection, every single day that passes, I am more convinced that he is up to no good. You know, this guy who's only known for being up to no good might actually be up to no good, even harder on this particular case. I mean, genuinely, I'm of two minds on this. I think he was involved in both parts of the Epstein stuff, the finances and the sexual abuse. And like, honestly, just from the publicly known accounts we have right now, that's pretty substantiated. I don't know what else could be more damning than that they're trying to prevent from getting out there, but whatever it is, it's bad. Here, let's jump back into the PBD boys.
Hear what Dershowitz had to say?
I did hear what he said.
Dershowitz wrote an article, I think it was in the Wall Street Journal.
He talked about the grand jury testimony being where the mother lode would probably be.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, I wonder why Alan Dershowitz would talk about how grand jury testimony would be where the mother lode is, when literally every other expert on this indicates that that's not where you would have the mother lode, specifically because grand jury testimony is targeted towards the people who are being prosecuted, i.e. Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. Like, those are the two people you would get more information on from a grand jury records. And that then would still leave a gigantic question mark over what the FBI had looked over, what Pam Bondi looked over. Like, what the hell do they have? He's so desperate to distract. It's crazy.
Whether you believe Dershowitz or now, that's on you, but I'll just sort of boil down his main 3 points.
It's also really crazy that none of these people point out, hey, Alan Dershowitz, that you mean Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer? Not one of them mentions it. Not one of them.
And, we live in a rush to judgment, trial by media, trial by social media society. So
Knitting Cult Lady talked about how cult leaders can do a lot, but they cannot compromise the cult's mission. The Epstein files were the mission.
I mean, they're basically the crystallized synthesis of like the entire ethos of Drain the Swamp. If you cannot drain the swamp, being unable to drain the swamp and not releasing the Epstein files are the same thing, It just indicates that the current Trump administration is hopelessly corrupt.
Respect for you for waiting until actual evidence comes out.
And I will say, I do think that this is an important wedge issue, specifically because it prepares the Trump base for the recognition that what is coming down the pipeline in this budget bill is going to destroy them.
Are tired of all the winning yet?
Not yet, Arthur. But I think they're going to get there, right? Like, this issue splits the Republican base, a sizable chunk of the Republican base, and that preps them to understand the coming pain in a light that might divide them wholly away from Donald Trump and the cult mentality, which I think is a huge win just on the basis of, hey, do you want to stop an authoritarian from taking power in this country? It's a huge win just on that field alone. But I think there are many other downstream effects of this. Grand jury process is only providing enough evidence to show that there's enough reason for a criminal trial. It's not at all a full recounting of evidence available. Just shows the charges are reasonable for trial. And again, if you take the government at their word here, they already have the files in their possession. They don't need to get those files from a grand jury. It's just a bullshit misdirect.
Versus rushing for judgment. Here's what Dershowitz had to say.
Epstein's lawyer, Alan Dershowitz.
Number one, there was no client list. The list that you speak of was the victims list. People hear list.
By the way,
they freak out.
I love this defense. There's not a list, okay? We put it in many different forms. PowerPoint presentation, note cards, an Excel spreadsheet. We used many different forms to show who was perpetrating the crimes, but there was never a list. Come on, man. Come on. Even if there's not a list specified in the Epstein material, you know damn well that people are expecting the government to comb through those materials and make a goddamn list of the victimizers. Not a list of the victims, a list of the victimizers, the people who did the crime. Presumably, that's what the entire Justice Department has been trying to do under Donald Trump, unless, it was all a lie. It's crazy.
4 sources, not one.
He's been pretty successful at flooding the zone when it comes to most political issues. I don't think flooding the zone works works on this particular one. Epstein is too sticky.
1, not 2, not 3,
not 4, not 5. We're winning
4
championships
that
here.
say the same thing.
Well, and Carrie Ann Coyote, they don't even care about the victims, because the victims are all out here being like, yeah, release the Epstein files. Hey, yeah, we've already been through the shit. Release the files. Bring us some justice.
That's why I said everybody rushes in with their commentary, and I'm like,
of course,
I'm going to wait.
He also said the 2 other things. Number 1, the tapes you speak of were public tapes. Yeah. Like, we have videotapes here, all in valuetainment, everywhere you go. There's cameras all over here, but there's not cameras necessarily in PBD's office or in PBD's bathroom. I don't know. This is what Dershowitz has to say. I don't know.
6 cameras in a bathroom.
Yeah.
Number 3, and this is the one that's going to freak people out, that there was actually no actual ties to intelligence agencies, whether it's.
I'm sorry. There's witness testimony that he recorded these women.
Is your person implicated on the Epstein list? As my next go-to when playing the hit board game Guess Who?
Damn. Thank you for the $5 dono. I really appreciate it.
Assad with a CA. I don't know. This was his attorney. He understands.
Oh, wait. We're only like 5 minutes into the segment. You're telling me Alan Dershowitz is the Jeffrey Epstein's attorney? Huh. I wonder why Jeffrey Epstein's attorney, who definitely kept his underwear on during a massage while on Epstein Island, would have an incentive to lie about the list. I wonder.
The law?
I would love to hear my point.
Yes.
It's like, these are all unanswered questions. Now, if there is a valid criticism, like I do believe.
Ah, yes, the Peanut Butter Doofus podcast. It'd be one thing if it was knowingly slop like Jerry Springer, but it's not. Like Maury.
I have to ask, did the Maury show not understand it was slop? Did the Maury show think it was elevated Jerry Springer? Wait, I'm genuinely curious. Also, Sake Tanuki, thank you for the 5 tier 1 subs. It was slop? Well, yeah, but I don't know, they're all in the same bucket. I'm just wondering if it was slop pretensions. I always assumed they all knew what they were. You want self-awareness from the Maury folks? I'm just wondering about the producers, whatever.
I believe they had a pile of an Epstein file.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they went through it. They just said they had it, and probably that created a...
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard someone say. I'm sorry, what?
I do believe they had a pile of an Epstein file.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they went through it. They just said they had it.
I'm sorry. You, Sean Hannity, one of the most watched anchors on Fox News. You're, not anchors, but talking head. You believe that the Trump government has had a giant Epstein file the entire time, and just no one read it. It was just so boring. No one looked at it. Come on, man. I don't think they went through it.
And probably that created a lot of hope in for people. And then that has now evolved into suspicion.
Don't you think that this was...
His argument... No, his argument isn't even they ignored evidence. His argument is just, they had it, and then they forgot about it. It just wasn't that important, guys.
Pam Bondi's job that she completely butchered. Hear me out.
Yeah.
I think Kash Patel is an honest guy. I think Dan Bongino has the highest credibility.
Yeah, bros before hoes, man.
I actually believe Trump on this one. I don't think JD Vance has any clue what's going on in this. He wasn't around during any of this. Pam Bondi. She was a little known, attorney general in Florida, whatever
right
she
after
was.
the Epstein thing in Florida.
Okay.
A little known attorney general of an entire state. She was a little known, very powerful legal force to millions of people. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm saying on the national scale.
She kicked ass in Florida.
Yeah. Yes. I live in Florida. I've heard her name a bunch. Yeah. On a national level, nobody heard of Pam Bondi. All of a sudden, she's catapulted to Attorney General of the United States, and she's an attractive woman. Hear me out. She sees herself on TV, national news, for the first time of her life.
I don't think
you're telling me that.
Oh my God. These guys suck so hard. She was just a little girl from the suburbs of Florida who worked her way up to being Attorney General of the entire state of Florida. But little did she know she was about to go on the road to Hollywood. And by Hollywood, of course, we mean Washington, D.C., the first stop for anyone who wants to go to Hollywood. Yeah, she was just a small town girl looking at a big city light and saying, gosh, golly gee, it's finally my time to shine. Why, I could even break out into song. And then she did a musical number about her life and her story and how now she was going to lie about the Epstein files in order to gain the spotlight, and how surely that would never bring her down. And it ends with, nothing's gonna gonna bring me down. That's the end of her musical number. Okay, that's, you know, and then it just turned out that she was a naive girl from the countryside, barely able to put on her shoes. And you know, this man has seen through her brilliant plot. Her very own Javert, but successful this time and handsome with a ginormous dick. That's the play he's writing, by the way. Just so you know. Just so you know. Like this guy's just like fabricating Pam Bondi's life story whole cloth. And it couldn't possibly be that Pam Bondi did Trump some favors that he quite liked, indicated that she was a loyalist, and then he elevated her on that premise because she was a yes man, like every single other person he's surrounded himself with. It's not complicated.
Champagne the 7 C's, and the 7 C's, and the 7 C's, saluting face emoji, shrimp emoji, shrimp
Charlie.
emoji, shrimp emoji.
Charlie Jidmere, thank you for the $5 super chat. Shimpin' together strong. Why you gotta fuck up Les Mis like that? Look, I've seen Les Mis. I've seen it. I've seen it. It's good. Nothing's gonna bring me down. Smash cut 6 months later. Prison.
That a star doesn't look at the, oh my God. You know who believes me? Megyn Kelly, because she's exactly what she said. Your old friend Megyn Kelly. But is Megyn Kelly wrong?
No, I'm not going to sit here and say anyone's right or wrong. I'm just saying I haven't come to my conclusion. I respect everyone's opinion. You know, this is not, success in media is not a zero-sum game. My success, my failure is not rooted in anyone else's success or failure. If they come to a conclusion based on their opinion, their gut, their instincts, or information they have that I don't have, I respect it. I listen to it, I absorb it, take it in, but I have to get to the point, like I did in all of those cases I mentioned to you, where I ended up being right. I spent 3 years with an ensemble cast to get to the bottom of Russia collusion.
Yeah, I'm sure you were working really hard in the investigative journalism pits of Fox News. Like I'm sure you were doing some real investigative reporting there. You hit the cocktail circuit hard, asking the tough questions like, "Can I get another olive?"
And we were unpeeling the layers of the onion, the lie. Look what it's now evolved into, right? It took 3 years of programming on radio and TV to get to that point. We were proven right. The corrupt legacy, state-run legacy media mob, they were wrong, but we did it. It happened slowly. It happened over time. We found out the Hillary Clinton bought and paid for dirty Russian dossier. Yeah, it was used as the basis of 4 FISA warrants. Hillary Clinton got a pass.
I love how this is about Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump, and this man is out here on a limb talking about Hillary goddamn Clinton in 2025. Come on.
When it came to top secret
Thank you,
classified
Jazz
information.
Dog.
You know, if I have any bit of concern over this, is people...
I'm sorry, if you have any bit of concern over this, you're not concerned that the government had all of the evidence on the Epstein case, and in your estimation just forgot about it, and now it's just gone somehow? Come on, man. No one's that stupid to believe that.
Are so focused on it, and they should be. I'm fine with that because I want to get the answers. I think we'll get a lot more if we get that grand jury testimony. That will be up to a judge. But here's the problem. Sunday was the 6-month mark of Trump's presidency, and what you played earlier from me and what I'm saying about it is so transformational and consequential, and he's taken on every big major issue in a way that no president that
Yeah, he's just so good at everything. Why are you all spending so much time talking about this Epstein stuff? You know, literally just talk about anything other than the Epstein stuff, really. I mean, look at all the things he's done. He's been so transformative and impactful, influential. Notice how they don't say he's improved people's lives.
Hillary was very, very bad. You shouldn't have to look that hard for dirt on how bad she was.
Yeah, like genuinely, like I don't know. We could talk about how the Clintons used prison labor as servants in their governor's mansion. We could talk about that. We can talk about how like the Clintons suck ass all day long. But interesting that Sean Hannity here is just running away. Also, Sakit Tanuki, thank you for the 5 tier 1 subs. I appreciate the support for the show. Thank you very much. Oh yeah, you guys didn't know that? 1 second. Just in case you guys didn't know, there's this piece in Current Affairs from like 2017 with a really interesting title to it by Nathan J. Robinson. The Clintons had slaves. It's basically about how there's a system of prison labor that allows you to get menial laborers out of prison for the day. And one of the jobs that they did is staff the maintenance of the governor's mansion while the Clintons were in office. Also, just very interestingly here, I'll read this part here. But two possibly unexpected beneficiaries of the contemporary prison labor system were none other than Bill and Hillary Clinton, who during their time at the Arkansas governor's mansion in the 1980s used inmates to perform various household tasks in order to keep costs down. Hillary Clinton wrote of the practice openly and without any apparent sense of moral conflict. So that's fun. That's cool. Clinton, was generous enough to allow inmates from Arkansas prisons to work as unpaid servants in the governor's mansion. Not even a pretense of being like paid a pittance for working there. They were straight up just prison slaves working at the governor's mansion.
My dad is too busy talking not to, my mom about LA, Kamala, and Alligator Land being a super new and high quality facility. I'm so afraid to speak out even with all the evidence.
Ugh, I'm sorry, Caracal. But thank you for the $10 super chat. I very, very much appreciate that. Hillary Clinton writes that the residence was staffed with, quote, African-American men in their 30s, unquote, since, quote, using prison labor at the governor's mansion was a long-standing tradition which kept down costs, unquote. So that's fun.
I can think of in 100 years is fundamentally shifting the country, I would argue, back to constitutional order and limited government, greater freedom. All of that's lost.
So I'll give you one thing to be thinking about. You're a sports guy. You love throwing the football at the end of your show, and so who was the team that almost had a perfect season, and at the end of it, they lost because of a couple turnovers that they made, devastating. They could have gone undefeated the entire year, would have been known as the greatest season any NFL team ever had. Mm-hmm. The Patriots,
against
right?
The Giants, baby.
Right, against your Giants, right? Yeah. So what's the point? This is all I'm saying. All I'm saying is, when you have a vision that big, and you're working your ass off the way that you are, and you're trying to juggle all these different projects at the same time, you have to talk to your leadership team. No more turnovers moving forward. Not at this level. This could have been prevented. This was a massive fumble that could have been prevented by the team.
I love that Patrick Bet-David is trying to portray the Epstein files situation as a massive bumble that could have been prevented by the team, when, like, it's not a mistake. They're covering it up on purpose. Like, I don't understand these folks. Like, they're doing the things they're doing on purpose.
Because to Trump's credit, when Trump did that interview with Rachel Campos Duffy, and she asked, and she goes like this. So, Mr. President, you know which scene I'm talking about? She's like this, right? And she says, so are you going to release the John F. Kennedy? Yes. Are you going to release the Martin? Yes. 9/11? Yes. Not this one, Rob. Are you going to release the Epstein? Yes. I don't know, because so even then, Trump didn't give a definite answer.
No. He said, because some people's names might be on there and they might not be.
To his credit, he's not.
I'm sorry. We've all seen that clip. We've all seen that clip. There is no way to interpret that as a guy who's like, people might just be making stuff up. I'm not going to release it. Like, dude suddenly gets scared. He's caught off guard and he starts blabbering. He starts going like, because things might be made up in there. Anything could be made up in there. You could find names you would never have expected to find in there. And it's very clear that he's like talking about himself, man. Like, it's not difficult.
Not ran on this.
True.
He's not ran on this. His team ran on this.
Great point.
Who selected the team? Who watched them go out day after day saying this shit and selected them for the team? Dan Bongino's been talking about the Epstein documents for a decade. Trump picked him anyway. You can't, this is on his team. No, it's on him, man, because he wants to cover something up.
Great point. This is the scene right here. His team ran on this. And Rob, I don't know if you're going to, okay, is it right off the bat she says that? Yeah, right off the bat. Okay, play from the beginning.
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah. I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
Well,
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know it. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world.
you can pause it right there. So to me, I get it.
That's revealing too, in my view.
Yeah. There's a lot of phony. You can't trust them. The phony documents, folks.
And when you're talking about, like, for example, you call somebody a racist, you're basically saying they're evil to me. There are certain things that you accuse people of that it will take them down hard. If in the files they have.
What do you mean? Take them down hard in your own estimation, in the eyes of the public? Like, what are you talking about? Because if accusations could get someone torn down, we'd see Donald Trump would not be president. There are countless accusations against that man.
And this is, I think, the point that Trump was making when he brought up, remember who put these files together? 4 years, Biden Justice Department had all of it. Nobody even asked for them to release.
Hey, Hannity. Just out of curiosity, who was president when Jeffrey Epstein was convicted? Hey, chat. I can't remember. Who was president when Jeffrey Epstein was convicted? Who was president when Jeffrey Epstein's files were collected by the FBI? Oh, it was Donald J. Trump. That scamp, that scallywag. The idea that, they compiled the files. Under Biden. Nah, dog. They compiled the files under Donald Trump the first time around. Isn't it kind of weird that he had those files and all of that evidence on hand years ago and he didn't do shit with it? Isn't that kind of weird? Hey, if you're conservative, do you not think to yourself, hey, wait a minute. Why would he not have released that back when he was president the first time? Why is his administration right now claiming that they've released the unedited raw footage of the suicide when 3 minutes of it is inexplicably missing? I don't know. I don't put this down to this is the team fucking up, because these are not fuck ups. These are deliberate. Now, they're deliberate and they're messily done, meaning that they're done in a panic. They are done in a hurry. They are done because someone very powerful keeps telling people all the way down the chain of command, do this now. God, for the love of God, do this now.
That was some weird shit.
And, but yeah, Sean Hannity is just Biden had all the ducks, had them all lined up in a row. And I can tell you one thing, Joe Biden is an old school man in the sense that he has an old fashioned sense of loyalty and sense of decorum for past presidents. And I can very easily see how a man like that would not want to release the Epstein files, because a lot of powerful people, his friends included, were going to be implicated. And I can understand his reticence to release that if that is the case. Right? I don't agree with it. I think you should release it, whatever. But I do think that Joe Biden is kind of an evil old man. And so it doesn't surprise me that he wouldn't do that.
It was never an issue. And you could say, okay, well, Trump kind of half said he would release it, but then said maybe not because there might be innocent names in there. But then you look at the people that put it together, maybe when they got to the bottom of it, and we'll find out, I think, over time. Maybe I'm just a little more patient than your average person. But maybe there are innocent people. Maybe there are allegations in there. By the way.
Look, sure, he killed himself almost 10 years ago, but I'm willing to wait a few more years for those files to come out. Are you kidding me? It's so weird. It's so weird. It's a fundamental promise of the Trump administration. I'll wait more years. What are you doing, man?
You're a pedophile. Okay, you're on the list. Mm-hmm. Now you have to defend yourself, but you're not a pedophile. What happens to that person's life, falsely accused?
Well, funny that you mentioned that, because the accusation would need to be made on the basis of days, times that they were there. There would have to be evidence placing them there. They would have to be without an alibi for where they were at that particular point in time. And, it's almost kind of if you just accuse a random person of being on Jeffrey Epstein's island, they're going to have people that they know who are no, Chad wasn't on Epstein's island. He was out here in the cornfield, plowing. He was plowing in the cornfield. I saw him over there plowing the corn. Chad's a good egg. We make moonshine together. We're gay and we love each other very much. He would never be on Epstein's island. You know, you have like this entire situation where like people have these things called alibis.
I've seen that a lot in my
Many
life, too.
times, to a lot of guys.
I saw when I met with those kids from Duke Lacrosse, I actually drove out to their house, and this is why I ended up being right, and everybody else was wrong. There were
a cornfield, the perfect alibi.
Nearly 100 professors at Duke jumped on the bandwagon. They wanted these.
What? Moonshine's great. Why are you thinking I'm dissing on moonshine? I've had moonshine before. It's awesome.
Kids taken down. Those kids' lives are never going to be the same. Richard.
Sean Hannity, I could wait a few more years, say January 2029 or so. Nothing special about that date, just a random one that came to mind.
Yeah, maybe like January 21st, 2029 might be a good day to talk about it more. Also, the way that like people like Hannity talk about this, like, oh, but the children, like those children are never going to be the same again. They're never going to be the same. And like, yeah, but also the abuse happened like 30, 40 years ago at this point. Those people are adults now. And oddly enough, of the dozen or so Epstein victims that we know of publicly, conservatives tend to shit all over them and not give a single goddamn what they have to say. So strange.
Jules' life was never the same. Darren Wilson left the police department. His career was ruined. It's like we are too quick to do that. Now, with all that said, there's no doubt in my mind that Epstein is a creep, a scumbag, a lowlife.
Why is he, though?
Well, I mean, just what we know from the trial, the sweetheart deal that he got the first time.
So what people want is when you study this guy's lifestyle and what he did and how he made his money, and Lex Wexner giving a $77 million most expensive private residence in Manhattan to him as a gift, when he gets a $158 million consulting fee from Leon Black, when he has an 8,000 square foot property in New Mexico that he was practicing eugenics and his DNA being transformed and passed down to different people. When you look at it's a lot of weird things with this guy. So we can continue there. But the last thing I'll wrap up on this, by the way, when you're saying all that stuff, I agree, because Trevor Bauer's career in baseball was destroyed. Pasadena court by a girl that lied, and no one.
I mean, guys, understand what Patrick Bet-David is doing here is essentially to undermine the legitimacy of the known victims of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Okay? Like, oh, well, you have to keep in mind these allegations destroyed this one guy. And it's like, why are you bringing that up in relation to a conversation about Jeffrey Epstein? Like, dog, what are you doing? Well, seriously, what are you doing? Why in this segment would you basically come out and say, yeah, I think these Epstein accusers are lying, when genuinely there's photographs, there's videos, there's so much evidence substantiating this that Ghislaine Maxwell got 20 years in prison. I zoned out and all of a sudden someone's practicing eugenics. Yeah, Jeffrey Epstein was one of those natalist guys. You know how we've talked about like the pro-natalism convention and like the weirdos who go there and somehow just get like New York Times op-eds up the wazoo because like they talk about needing to make more white babies. Yeah, the creepy people. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Jeffrey Epstein was one of those.
And the MLB wants to sign this guy, and he could have gotten a $250 million contract.
In a similar vein to Elon Musk, by the way, who just constantly talking about the need to spread his seed as much as possible.
A $300 million contract, made some real money. He lost a few $100 million because of a lie. Because of a lie, they destroyed this guy's potential on income. Now, he still loves the game so much that he's playing for nothing because of the love of the game. But this guy's dream was to play in baseball. It was entertaining to watch. So you're right. All that happens. I'll wrap up the last thing and we'll go to the next one. I want to go into the Russia side with you.
Is there anything you think I'm doing wrong? Anything that I'm saying?
No, not at all. No, the only reason, when we've been podcasting for 5 years. We started this 5 years ago. My content was purely, I'm a business guy.
I'm a business guy. That's why I've been talking about
Epstein set Musk
Epstein
up
Island.
With his horse supply?
Maybe, Sam and Moose. Thank you for the $5 dono. Appreciate you.
I'm a business guy that grew up in Iran, that came up here and, made his money, went to the U.S. Army, went into the stock market, became a stockbroker with Morgan Stanley Dean Witter, built an insurance company, sold it. As a financial advisor, when you're in it for 25 years, what you learn to do is a needs analysis every day. What is a needs analysis? A needs analysis, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, what is your income? What are your expenses? How much money do you have in a CD? What do you have in a 401k? What do you have in a defined benefit? What do you have in a 457? Do you have a 529 for your kids? How important is it for you to put your kids in a private school? How much money do you want to set?
Oh, by the way, just because I was curious, I wanted to look up this baseball player that Patrick Bet-David brought up. Here, just real quick. While Bauer was under investigation in 2021, the Washington Post uncovered court records showing that a separate woman from Ohio had sought a temporary order of protection in June of 2020. A third woman also accused Bauer of sexual assault in 2022 and 2023. Very interesting stuff. Oh, and a federal judge in New York dismissed the suits against Deadspin and Bowd in March of 2023, specifically because he was suing them for defamation. And he dropped his case against the Athletic. That's crazy. Oh, in March of 2024, a fourth woman who had claimed Bauer sexually assaulted and impregnated her was charged with defrauding him. Bauer paid her $10,000 for medical expenses, prenatal vitamins, and car services related to a pregnancy.
Did you say maybe?
But thank you for the $5 dono and the joke. Appreciate that. God.
I don't know how to word this, but this feels like Me Too. They can admit the main bad guy is bad, but what if someone gets false charges?
No, that's it. It is exactly the same dynamic. It's exactly the same dynamic. By the way, just so you all know, there is currently an ongoing movement in the conservative sphere to try and say, what is his name? I want to say Jeffrey Weinstein, but I know that's not right. God, what's his name? The guy, the Me Too guy. Was it? God, Eric Weinstein? Harvey Weinstein. Thank you. I couldn't, for the love of God, remember it. Yeah, Harvey Weinstein. There's a movement to try and like revamp him as like an unfairly maligned individual. Yeah, Matt Walsh has defended him. Candace Owens did a huge segment about how like, Weinstein did nothing wrong. It's interesting to be sure. A lot of these guys have a desire to just let these men off the hook.
Stuff for your kids to go to private school. Are you planning on paying for their school tuition or not? Are you planning on letting them go to community? Do you want to do a 50-50? Do you want to have some money for them to start a business? Do you not want to pay anything for them? At what age do you want to retire? How much income do you want to retire with? When you're programmed to just ask questions and then you go into podcasting, your natural instinct is to constantly be asking questions.
You're really bad at them. You're really bad at choosing the questions, though. Like, there are good questions and, like, bad questions, man.
That's what you've been trained to do in financial services.
Every question you guys are asking is the right question.
Right. So,
and I think
if Sean Hannity tells you that, you need to commit ritual, like, self-sacrifice.
we need answers.
And so to me, to think when you're saying about Mossad and CIA, guys, the movie Argo came out 30 years after because CIA has a certain number of 30 years to not release. And, KGB guy comes out and he writes a book on what the KGB really did with the papers and who they controlled and who they planted different places. For us to assume that we're going to know right off the bat, we're being a little bit naive to think that we're going to know everything about what it
Yeah, guys, look, we just have to wait 30 years for the victims of Jeffrey Epstein to receive justice. Just another 30 years. It's totally fine. Sure, all of you watching this will be dead in the climate changed future where fossil fuels have choked us all. But, at least you can die in your closing moments knowing the truth about the Epstein files, finally.
Because I was just going to say, I want to make one correction because we're talking about the Bible. It's Matthew 8, chapter 18, verse 6. I said 8 and 6, number 1. But yeah, guys, if they are intelligence, like think about Mossad, what they did with the pagers and our CIA. They're very good, all of them, Sean, at making everybody guess and ask these questions. That's their job. But when we say rushing to judgment,
but by the way, I'm seeing some people. I'm seeing some people ask, like, are they actually trying to resuscitate Harvey Weinstein? Yes, they are.
Wrongfully convicted is my conclusion. And I the thing about me is when you listen to my podcast, I'll tell you my thoughts. Like the whole idea of saying that like you're not biased or like it is ridiculous. So I will say to someone, I've looked over this case. After looking over this case, I've concluded that Harvey Weinstein was wrongfully convicted and was basically just hung on the Me Too thing. And I'm going to show you how I got there, but I'm going to give you access to everything I'm looking at. Like, I'm not here to tell you I'm the expert and I'm above you. You can investigate this with me. And Harvey Weinstein, when this came across my plate, honestly,
Anyway.
In the future, the fossil fuels go on strike and giant skeletal dinosaurs terrorize the innocent. The end is nay.
The end is nay. Thank you for the $5 dono, Jazz Dog.
Epstein was a pedophile convicted pervert since when? It's 25 years later. Why is Ghislaine Maxwell in jail? There's no
for trafficking young women.
Where are the victims? I don't believe that there's a list, like there's a name. Bill.
Where are the victims? There are like a dozen publicly known, like 20 testified publicly against him. Like, man, this guy sucks so much.
Clinton, well, all these names. No, it's what is she in jail for trafficking at him? They're saying that he didn't do anything. All this stuff is all bullshit. Why is she in jail?
Nobody's saying that he didn't do anything.
Well, why is she in jail for?
They're talking about the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. And by they, I mean the goddamn president.
20 years if there's
Why don't you pull up what she was charged with and convicted of?
But
this doesn't have to be a mystery.
Where's the one client? What is Ghislaine Maxwell in prison for? And then, ready for this? Where's the customer? That's like arresting Sean for being a freaking drug kingpin, and none of his clients are behind jail.
Don't bring Sean Hannity.
Sean sells weight. Well, he sells cocaine. Sean sells cocaine, but
you see how easy it is to make allegations. Now he has to defend himself.
I can't handle this, guys. I can't handle this. We're gonna push through for like the last minute of this, but this is stupid as fuck.
Now Sean Hannity has to defend himself. That's your BS allegation.
I want to move on to the next part. We've already talked about what Ghislaine Maxwell.
But can I ask one more question before we go?
Sure.
I mean, do we all kind of agree?
Yes.
That what?
That at the end of the day,
I sell grade A coke. Yeah! Like he just jumps up, starts shooting revolvers.
Unanswered questions. Maybe I'm just a little bit more willing to let this play out.
Well, you're the very few that actually has patience and maybe not rush to judgment.
But you know what taught me that?
Because most people have already made up their mind.
I'm telling you what taught me that. When I talked to Richard Jewell, got one of the first interviews with him, he comes on and he says, "You were the only one in the media that gave me the benefit of the doubt." That changed my life forever. And I learned, you know what? It's pretty powerful what I'm doing in the sense that it can impact people's lives. That lesson has served me well. That long list I gave, it wasn't to brag or to be, it wasn't, I promise you it wasn't. It was just to explain my methods, the way
Hannity is the Jay Leno of cocaine.
I don't know what that means. Did Jay Leno do a lot of cocaine? Thank you for the $5 super chat, Charlie Jinmir. Appreciate it.
Approach things. I'm listening to Mr. Financial Advisor over here, and I'm like, holy shit, he's a genius.
I'm sorry, but if you listen to Patrick Bet-David and you think he's a genius, I've got a bridge I would like to sell you. It's a fantastic investment opportunity. Okay, you give me a large amount of money. I give you this slip of paper that tells you you're entitled to a share of the profits from that bridge. Okay, and then I also give you the right to sell more shares in the profits of that bridge. You can recruit up to 2 friends to do that. In fact, and so on and so forth. It's a very lucrative opportunity. I call it a bridge to the future, a wonderful investment opportunity. Now, what's really interesting here is that if there's no hardcore connection here between Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, if there is nothing to hide here, well, wait a minute, what's this? Breaking news. Everyone, CNN has uncovered a treasure trove of new photographs and video of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein together. It's crazy how that keeps happening.
Andrew Kaczynski of K-File is here with the new images of Trump and Epstein. And Andrew, I shared one of them there, but so let's start with the one at Trump's wedding. I mean, this is a significant development.
Well, yeah, it is. Trump's wedding.
Again, I'm sorry, it shouldn't be news that they were best friends when they've literally been recorded in the press calling each other their best friends. Come on. But it does blow a hole in the president's story that they weren't best friends because he's an obvious and known liar.
Wedding to Marla Maples in 1993 was dubbed the wedding of the century by the media at the time. And although we know that Trump and Epstein were friends during this period, this is really the first time that it's actually been reported that Trump invited Epstein to his wedding. This is, we should note, more than a decade before those first allegations of sex trafficking against Epstein. But as you know, Trump's relationship with Epstein has been under the microscope recently. Now, besides that one photo of Epstein entering the reception at the Plaza Hotel, we can also see him in the background of another picture. That's Howard Stern on the far right, along with Robin Leach from Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. And Epstein is behind them at the wedding, almost seeming to be photobombing them. We also found this photo
Also, just utter demon energy from this man.
From just a few months earlier,
Like
Donald
utter
Trump
demon
with
energy.
2 of his children talking to Jeffrey Epstein. That's at the
Plaster this image everywhere. Plaster
Being
it
a
everywhere.
right-winger sounds so easy. Turn brain off, consume slop, be angry.
Yeah, right? Isn't it so much easier to not know this shit? And yet, here we are, taking on the burden.
opening of the Harley-Davidson Cafe in New York in October 1993. You can see Ivana there.
It's just so gross to see Jeffrey Epstein in the same photograph as children. It's just so gross. Sake Tanuki, thank you for the 2-tier 1 subs.
He would have been just about to turn 12 years old in that photo.
Yeah, you can see Ivanka right there it looks like between Trump and Epstein. All right, these are never before seen photos, Andrew. I know you also found some video of Trump and Epstein that was from later of them talking. That has also never surfaced before. What's that?
Well, that's right. This is from...
Hey, now that's a great question, Johnny Ramo. Why did the Democrats not use any of these videos and messaging properly in the 2016 election? Well, largely because Democrats are afraid of what might come out should they message too hard on Jeffrey Epstein. And secondly, Jeffrey Epstein was still alive at the time of the 2016 election. It is, however, strange that they didn't use it in the 2020 election or the 2024 election, again, while Donald Trump was campaigning about, but think of the children when it comes to like trans kids, you know, but think of the children when it comes to like abortion, but don't think of the children when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein, apparently, is his policy. Very strange.
6 years later in 1999, this video has never been seen before in this context. It shows Trump talking to Jeffrey Epstein just before models hit the runway at the Victoria's Secret fashion show in New York in 1999. You know, the only other video we've seen of the two men was 7 years before this. Trump is at the show with Melania, who is, of course, now First Lady, seated a few feet away from Epstein. You can see them chatting during the show as well. Allegations that Epstein sexually abused underage girls didn't surface until 2005, years after this video was shot.
Right, but this, of course, establishes them together and obviously very friendly in 1999. So, Andrew, when you get all this, and all of this, as I just want to emphasize, right, has not been seen before. So you actually called President Trump. You called him directly to ask him about this.
Yeah, we were not on the phone very long. I think our call was about 30 seconds or so. But when I asked him about the wedding photo, he said, he sort of paused for a second and then said, "You've got to be kidding me," before calling CNN fake news and then hanging up on me. Now, in a statement to CNN, White House Communications Director...
Oh God, please keep asking him. I want to see ever deeper crash outs from him on this. Oh my God. Understand that Donald Trump calling and talking to press, that's like his safe space. He feels like he can say basically anything. And the fact that every single interaction with the press lately is constantly being asked about Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, if there is something in those files that, like, if it became known publicly, would utterly destroy him and his presidency. I mean, what a fitting way to just go about, you know, his final days on this earth. He's never, from this time till the day he dies, he is never going to escape the shadow of Jeffrey Epstein, you know? And honestly, good. He loves the media attention. He doesn't love the media attention when they're like, "So you're a pedophile, huh?"
Stephen Chung said this. He said, "These are nothing more than out of context frame grabs of innocuous videos and pictures of widely attended events to disgustingly infer something nefarious. The fact is that the president kicked him out of his club for being a, quote, creep."
All right. Well, it is incredible reporting, and it is important in this context as the country wants, answers on everything to do with Epstein. Andrew, thank you so much for all of that breaking news.
It's the next major...
No, we're good. We're good. Thank you, CNN. Also, can we just see, like, how is Donald Trump doing? How's the Truth Social posting going? Okay. Wait, what is the status of the ongoing crash out? Let's see. The largest trade deal in history with Japan. All right. Japan trade deal. All right. The Philippines trade deal. Trade deal. It is my great honor. It is my great honor to grant $11.7 million to the beautiful state of West Virginia for severe tornadoes and flooding that impacted their incredible people in June. I just finished speaking with their wonderful governor, Patrick Morrissey, and look forward to seeing the state make a full recovery. I love West Virginia. And like, dude, the severe tornadoes and flooding that happened a month ago, it is your honor to grant them disaster relief? What? Okay. All right. Like, if you're conservative, you want governors to grovel to the president every time something goes wrong in their state? That's what you want? Seems like a shitty system to me, but okay. Oh, look at this. I just finished speaking with the governor, Mike Braun, of the great state of Indiana, which I won big in 2016, 2020, and 2024. We're approving $15.1 million for severe flooding and tornadoes, which took place in the early spring. I know the state, under the leadership of Mike Braun, will make a rapid recovery. Like, these are governors groveling to Donald Trump for money. Notice how the framing there is early spring. It's July. If you are getting disaster relief funds weeks or months after a disaster, you've already been fucked. Eventually, people are going to catch on to this. Even the most out of touch conservative is going to realize what is happening here. And again, look at this. Look at this. Gretchen Whitmer, $50 million. Like, dude is just approving spending. Like, is personally taking on the role of FEMA. It's really gross. But anyway, we got a bunch of posts. We've got the greatest 6 months in history, folks. Breaking news. Historic lawsuit with CBS, Paramount, and 60 Minutes. Just like ABC and George Stephanopoulos. Oh, God. By the way, utter cowardice on these companies, by the way. So, yeah, again, it's just... Please don't mention Epstein. 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 Oh, also, you should fire this guy named Thomas Massey. I have had the Trump organization start an entire super PAC around firing Thomas Massey. All right. I've had them start the super PAC. They're getting on it for no reason in particular. Don't Google Thomas Massey, Jeffrey Epstein. Like, oh, that's interesting. Why? Why is that happening? Well, because this is all just a hoax, right? Because this is all just totally not based on any kind of actual information, right? Well, earlier today, Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House of Representatives, a Republican, who watches porn with his son, called an early summer recess specifically to block votes that might have led to the release of the Epstein files. Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna were advancing a bill to call for the release of the Epstein files. And oddly enough, the leader of the Republicans in the House said, oh, no, we're all going on vacation early. Huzzah! Which means they aren't going to be able to vote on releasing the Epstein files for about a month and a half. He watches what with his son? Yes, Mike Johnson subscribes to a evangelical porn service that basically creates an accountability buddy for you and watching porn. So if you watch porn, it alerts your accountability buddy with varying degrees of how pornographic it may have been. Yeah, it's angel eyes, exactly. And so if Mike Johnson watches porn, it alerts his son about what he watched. I don't know. I think that's really fucked up and weird. Don't do that to your child. Both of them have separate phones for those purposes. Oh yeah, 100%, right? Also, I do like, and I hope that Democrats don't drop this issue. They're actually ending this week early because they're afraid to cast votes on the Jeffrey Epstein issue, said Ted Lieu, the vice chair of the House Democratic Caucus. It's crazy. We're going to have committee meetings through Thursday, and there's still a lot of work being done, said Majority Leader Steve Scalise. The heavy work is done in committee, and there is a lot of work done this week before we head out. He declined to answer a question about whether votes were cut short over for the Epstein files. Well, that's weird. Why would you not answer such a simple question? You could just say no. Of course not. That'd be silly. Unless that's a lie. That's so interesting. Mike Johnson apparently gave a press conference today where he absolutely bumbled questions about whether or not this was all about Epstein, and it became very clear very quickly in that press event that he was absolutely killing moving the recess early to avoid questions and votes on Epstein. So this is a story that if Democrats are smart, and if people in the media are smart, and if you guys don't shut up about it, that could absolutely rekindle when the House comes back into session in like a month and a half, okay? And we need to keep that issue alive. I think that's actually really important because, again, this is the first actual issue that has damaged Trump's support. Like, his disapproval rating went from like 49% to like 70-something%. People aren't liking his immigration policies all that much, even conservatives, even Republicans. I am going to add one last cherry on top of this very suspicious Sunday. If Donald Trump has nothing to hide, and everything is on the up and up, and this is all just a hoax, then I have to ask a fundamental question. Why is the DOJ reaching out to Ghislaine Maxwell? Why is that happening?
Evangelical ***** service sounds absolutely odd to me. I'm just imagining Prayer Hub, X Hail Mary, Baptism Bus, Christer Bait, Live Jesus, and Only Faith.
I bet all of those actually exist. I'm almost willing to put money on the fact that every single one of those is a real thing in like the Christian conservative sphere. But let's take a look. Hey, look, is the Trump DOJ reaching out to Ghislaine Maxwell? Let's take a look. Oh, wait. Yes. Earlier today, top DOJ official plans to meet with Ghislaine Maxwell about Epstein case as House panel pursues subpoena. Well, that's interesting, to say the least. Take a look here. What is this all about? What is this all about? Todd Blanche, the second highest ranking official at the Justice Department, said Tuesday that he plans to meet with Ghislaine Maxwell in the coming days about the case involving convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Justice demands courage. For the first time, the Department of Justice is reaching out to Ghislaine Maxwell to ask, "What do you know?" Blanche wrote on social media. He added that he contacted Maxwell's lawyers at the direction of Attorney General Pam Bondi. "I intend to meet with her soon. No one is above the law and no lead is off limits," Blanche wrote. So, just so we're clear, at the direction of the president, Pam Bondi ordered her second in command to go talk with Maxwell's legal team.
It appears Paladin missed the best evangelical ***** service. Plenty of bish. It's cool. I got it covered.
Night Stock, thank you for the $5 dono. But yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of a weird thing. The stories that are coming out here. Jeffrey Epstein's former girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, to be interviewed by the DOJ. And I just have to point out here, guys, what seems like the obvious course of action here. If I were a corrupt government official and I did not care about, principles or anything like that, what I'm worried about here, especially with the rise in rhetoric of jailing Obama or jailing the Clintons or whatever, is that there is effectively going to be some kind of plea deal made where Maxwell gets a pardon in exchange for essentially providing damaging information just on Trump's enemies. That's one of the concerns that I have here, because I think that there is a very real possibility all that is necessary to satisfy the MAGA base is being like, hey, here are all the villains, case closed. And I think like the rise in rhetoric against people like Obama, the reopening of the Clinton case, in addition to there being like a flood the zone strategy behind that, I think that if you see them release Maxwell, someone who got 20 years in prison for trafficking children, the reason for that is because they have effectively partisan
I take
hit jobs.
childlike amusement from hearing the TTS voice read out the asterisks.
Right? Me too, Arthur. Thank you for the $5 super chat. So my concern here, and keep in mind, I don't have a problem with people who are implicated in this going to jail, right? I have no problem with that whatsoever. The issue is if the MAGA base is satisfied with just Democrats going to jail and we let all the Republican-aligned figures off the hook, I find that extraordinarily suspicious. Look, I'm not saying that Bill Clinton shouldn't go to jail. I'm saying that if he's on the Epstein list, he should also go to jail alongside, you know, people like Donald Trump, if they're on the list, you know? So I think that the attempt here, however ham-fisted and ham-handed, is going to be to get Maxwell to effectively talk, but to implicate anyone but Trump, anyone but Republicans. Like, this entire series of events is insane, but like, I think that's kind of where we're at right now. It's like a Looney Tunes cartoon of inept politicking. It's crazy. What would Obama's reasoning even be? I mean, like, you could say like Obama was covering for Bill Clinton and the cover-up is the crime, you know, something like that. I don't know. Like, I don't know how this is all going to go down. Obviously, I'm speculating quite a bit on this last part, but given the rise in rhetoric from the Trump administration around folks like Obama, there's also like a story that Fox News is trying to mainline about like how Obama fabricated evidence against Trump or whatever. I have no idea what that's all about, but there is like a complicit narrative emerging in the conservosphere about Obama. That's all I know. Another day, another series of Jeffrey Epstein bombshells about his association with Donald Trump. The Trump administration just doing everything in its power to verify those ties. So there you have it, folks.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather around. Twitch and YouTube and swishy streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, dating, and plenty more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord. Riverboat Jack.